The experience I had when I first ran, of course, I was totally unknown. I mentioned that there were two men that were quite well known. The person who represented my district was a medical doctor, Dr. Robert Broadbent, who was well-liked, well-known in the community, and he could not believe the political process at all. He, being a doctor, he would tell the patient what to do, and they would do it. And he would try to do that with 39 other people, and they just didn't pay him all that much attention. If they thought he was good, fine. If they didn't care. And so he didn't want to run again. And so I was planning to run anyway, and the American Association of University Women, AAUW, wanted to support a woman. So they became the cadre of my support system. I don't believe I would have been elected, besides having maybe split the vote, without their support. But when I first announced, my children were 4 and 5. This was unheard of for a woman who had small preschool children. My kids were not in kindergarten. My husband was very supportive. He was in a totally different area. He was an atmospheric physicist. He didn't care. He had political opinions, but it wasn't the only courses he didn't do well at Stanford were liberal arts courses. So that was fine. He wasn't threatened or anything of that sort. Where some husbands of other women have felt threatened. I know that for a fact. But they decided, they being, I guess, business community, people that didn't want to see me elected, that the way to go after me was as a mother and a wife. So lies were generated that I abused my children, and it resulted from the fact that I know these people today in this community, that my husband and I came back from a party or something early, and our babysitter was with her boyfriend and were doing things that she shouldn't have been doing. And we got her, and she then went home and told her parents and made up the story about that she left because that I had abused the children, etc. So that was something that, when I heard that, that morning, I had to go for we used to call them coffees, unless you were a Mormon, and I did have, I had one Mormon friend who had an orange juicer, I guess, for me. But all these women were gathered in someone's home in the morning. This was when women were not in the labor force, were not outside, they were homemakers, as was I, until this very moment. And so I went in that morning thinking that they had probably heard this story, but I just thought, I'm not bringing it up, I'm just pretending it is a lie, and I'm not addressing it at all, and it disappeared, I hope. And obviously it did. And then the other one was that my husband was going to divorce me, and then he was this liberal professor at the university, and no, he was an engineer, who are very conservative individuals, and he wasn't even with the university, he was with Desert Research Institute, which is a separate part of the university system, as you know. So, they didn't go after me in terms of my positions on issues. I had a big filing cabinet on all the particular issues. No one asked me a question. It was all this other stuff. And that was really disconcerting. But I was elected, and hopefully today, although I do hear that Barbara Buckley brought her son down to the legislature. And so that's at least a step ahead. Yeah. But there was not another woman elected with children that age. And part of the problem, I think, for women have been, at that time, they waited till they were older to get involved in politics. They usually ran for the school board or something of that sort. And maybe they were in their 50s when the kids had grown, and most of my friends thought I should have done that. And both my mother and my mother-in-law were not really excited about it, but they supported me.